When I set out to discuss Def Noodles and made an extremely detailed deep dive into his past and present, I never could have imagined how far he would fall mere days after my video was released. For this reason, I feel like moving on from this situation would be a disservice to my audience and to the community. Without further ado, I give you Def Noodles.
I'm aware of the impact that I can have on people, and you gotta be careful. And I feel like social media platforms don't really educate someone with the dangers of misleading their audience. Not even in misleading them with fake news, but leading them down certain paths, right? What if somebody has tens of millions of followers, but they have the worst opinions?
Okay, the first thing I'd like to touch on is how the Def Noodles persona gimmick is absolutely unbearable. In 2016, people rightfully gave Keemstar slack for saying that his show was for the news and his Twitter was for his own opinion. This was a valid critique at the time, as he would occasionally do a poor job differentiating the two in practice. Somehow, in 2021, it's now fully acceptable to post satirical and nonsensical drama right besides allegations of domestic violence and sexual assault. It's not even like these are separate Twitter accounts. Sometimes they're titled indistinguishably from their respective counterparts. I don't know about you, but if I was struggling this hard to convey my comedy and getting this annoyed that people aren't understanding the tonal subtlety of my text on a screen, I'd go back to the drawing board. Def Noodles claims he posts both satirical stories and legitimate news on his platform, and this is him explaining how he does that.
Whenever I cover something that's serious, I started putting a tag serious, and they even recommended it. Serious, indicating serious stories, and I've broken a bunch of serious stories. Like this last COVID party, I broke that. That was a serious story. So because it's the situation in LA is just so awful,
Apparently, Bad Baby calling Dr. Phil out for his ranches facing alleged abuse allegations is not a serious story. Apparently, Hailey Bieber calling people out for trying to photograph up her skirt isn't serious either. Apparently, James Charles being mentioned in a Snapchat story targeting him for messaging young boys is also satire. And I guess Def Noodles also thinks it's pretty satirical when discussing Dom's sexual assault allegations. Not my preferred type of comedy, but he is the expert considering he's read several books on the subject. In these videos, I've covered a certain podcast where it almost seemed like the host came away liking Dennis. Let's see what he had to say on the subject.
The podcast starts off with a very interesting intro from the host of the show.
It's not always clear which part is real and which part is a joke and what the joke even is sometimes. As much as he says it's all a character, I don't know if I always believe him. He clearly gets something out of reporting in his way about this world. Even after talking to Dennis, my producers and I were unsure which parts were real and which weren't.
He doesn't understand the backlash to Dennis, while also saying that he doesn't understand when he's being real and when he's making a joke or what the joke is.
Look, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but Def Noodles isn't just some low-hanging fruit villain of the week. He's actually been growing quite rapidly throughout the David Dobrik situation. For this reason, I think it's important to supply my audience the necessary context required to understand why this is a bad thing. With sudden growth spikes come the drive to continue and replicate that growth. The drive to meet or exceed this expectation breeds carelessness, and carelessness leads to mistakes. Naturally, mistakes don't pair well with reporting allegations of sexual misconduct, and you could probably imagine this has caused irreparable damage to legitimate victims. Exhibit A. On the 5th of April, Def Noodles fell for a satirical TikTok post, which absolutely is the most ironic situation to transpire thus far. In the sea of allegations against James Charles, some seemingly credible and others not so much, Def Noodles fell for a TikTok post that was clearly labeled as #funny, #meme. These are literally visible from the thread he made, and this is an unnecessary mistake that could be attributed to the lack of research.
You would have known it, you moron, if you just checked the tags of the TikTok, which were right there. #meme. And if in your thick brain you thought to do any research before publishing an extremely serious accusation, you would have seen that the date on the DM was 2016. James Charles is 21, Def Noodles. 5 years ago, he too would have been a minor, making Defamation Noodles again look like even more of a fucking idiot.
You could say James Charles deserves to be lied about all you want, but you're only hurting your own case. I'm aware James Charles has committed legitimate crimes. However, nobody wins when you muddy the water around potential victim stories. Also, just to add insult to injury, if you check the wording on this tweet, the pedophile allegation isn't marked as serious either. Another example of his lack of research was the absurd post targeting Jason Nash, which was posted literally the next day. It reads, "Aged like milk. Jason Nash trying to kiss Katy Perry. She freaks out and runs away saying, 'Oh my god.'" If you're looking at this tweet with just the context that Def Noodles supplied, you're probably assuming this is some sort of consent issue. But it's staged.
I kissed Jimmy Kimmel, Katy Perry, and I made out with Toddy tonight. Best night of my life. It goes, when my daughter was born, when my son was born, and today.
But I'm gonna react in a really horrible way.
Yeah, no, perfect. Yell at me. Yeah, push me. I kissed Katy Perry, and I made perfect.
Yell at me.
Perfect. Yeah, push me.
Jason Nash is related to the Vlog Squad, and Def Noodles has been relentlessly targeting that group. If you wanted examples of disenfranchising creators, look no further than Def Noodles holding context hostage. And this is a guy who claims to know better.
A lot of context is lost on social media, and usually the more context is lost, the more, like, I guess, captivating and the more outrage something generates, right? It's so easy to just flatten something to the most basest thing and just appeal to emotion, right? And completely remove all the humanity from it, right? Like, it's like politicians say, right? Like making a bumper sticker version of a policy, right? You're not going to get anything out of it, you know? And I feel like social media is designed for this, right?
I think the most damning part of this smear is that it took him a full 10 minutes to bury the correction 4 tweets down, and over half the people who liked the original tweet didn't see it. Most people would take the original tweet down when they threw up misinformation, but Def Noodles slaps on a little disclaimer at the bottom of the thread where nobody will see it. Once again, to add insult to injury, this tweet also didn't have a serious tag.
Of course there's people gonna believe it because of the way he presents it. And it doesn't surprise me one bit. Def Noodles throws serious allegations to the wind just to see which one to stick. Gonna hide behind his satire shield, peeking out of it every now and then, but in his deranged head, he can say whatever the fuck he wants, and that is why people need to call this guy out.
These first 2 examples are pretty disgusting, but actually they pale in comparison to our final example, so buckle up because this one's a fever dream. At approximately 7:40 on April 10th, Def Noodles posted an allegation from a TikToker named Kean Jones, claiming James Charles wanted to fly out a boy to visit him who was just 15 years of age. While once again, it's important to note that James has been accused by a significant number of people, this situation is different. In these allegations, the 15-year-old boy claims he has proof that James was fully aware of his age when he tried to fly Kean out. If this is real, do not be fooled. This is the smoke and gun proof that has supposedly been missing from most, if not all, of the other substantial allegations. If these screenshots were legitimate, one would be able to say without a shadow of a doubt that James Charles is targeting minors to fly out for sex. But spoiler alert, they're not. Shortly after posting it, Def Noodles realized that a significant number of people were reporting that Kean Jones had previously admitted the messages were fake. Aside from the fact that his iPhone suddenly changed fonts and the messages look clearly fake from a naked eye, this wasn't enough proof for Def Noodles to take the tweet down. Following this, about an hour later, Keemstar called out Def Noodles for posting false pedophile allegations to his timeline. However, once again, Def Noodles did not take the tweet down. In this time, both before and after Keemstar called him out, Def Noodles was defending himself and his decision to keep the allegation on his timeline through quote tweets and replies, where his proof of the messages being real is literally just Kean Jones saying, "Dude, trust me." But that's not all. The allegation was then weaponized by Def Noodles, who attached it to a poll where he referenced the fake evidence and attempted to tie it into a thread where he targeted brand relationships with YouTubers. He was so confident in a pedophile allegation that he didn't even do basic research on. He used it to to brag and target channel sponsors. As for the allegations themselves, because I got tired of waiting, I myself contacted Kia Jones at approximately 9:30, who initially told me that when he blocked James, it just happened to delete all the messages, which is not how Instagram works. He then tried to claim that he deleted them, which makes absolutely no sense, and before I could ask him why, suddenly I was blocked, and he privated his allegations on TikTok. This doesn't add up, but finally, at 10:10, Def Noodles deleted his initial tweet and posted a new thread stating essentially everything I've just told you, but there's a catch. He locked replies and attempted to silence criticism. There's no apology in sight, and he won't even let people reply to the thread anymore, which I personally find hilarious. He ends off the tweet with an open ending, implying that Kean still denied faking it, and he'll post an update when more information becomes available. This is essentially Dennis hoping and praying that proof will come out to help him here, but naturally, it doesn't. In fact, if that wasn't enough proof for you, Kean posted a video apologizing for faking the allegations, and Def Noodles tweeted it out the next day. No apology, no accountability, not even a "I'll do better." And I'm gonna tell you right now, based off his track record of the last 5 days, he shows no indication that he's going to change any way he researches and posts stories. He's just ignoring the situation and moving right on to the next one. Oh, and if you're wondering, yeah, this one wasn't marked as a serious post either.
If you make a claim of sexual misconduct, some asshole with a massive platform is going to blast it out to everybody, tell them where to find your TikTok channel, and promote the shit out of it in order to take a swipe at another person.
This is the third big incident in the past week, and Def Noodles ended that week off posting unvetted false pedophile allegations, despite him being well aware of the entire community basically trying to tell him that they were fake. These false allegations remained up on his account for approximately 3 hours. He bragged about these false allegations. He used these false allegations to target creator sponsors, and he refuses to do even the slightest bit of research, which makes him dangerous. Posting an old TikTok joke as if it's a real allegation, and posting the Jason Nash clip out of context were bad enough, but now there are people invalidating potential legitimate victims of real crimes by faking information, and Def Noodles is platforming them. If you don't condemn this behavior, you're part of the problem. If you're enabling Def Noodles, then you're enabling false allegations to spread. When you don't do research and you just platform every allegation you see, you're inviting bad actors to lie and take the spotlight away from real victims. Def Noodles is just as responsible as Kean Jones, and I'd argue he's actually more responsible. We as a community need to come together and find a way to support potential victims of serious crimes without weaponizing their stories to damage others for growth and profit. It's one thing to demand justice after supplementary evidence is provided and things could be reasonably proven without a shadow of a doubt. When Def Noodles is just blindly tweeting out allegation after allegation with no quality control, he's enabling young clout chasers to lie and try to irreversibly damage someone just for a retweet. I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. Lack of research by Def Noodles is creating these false accusers. I guess the saddest part is that in just 1 week, Def Noodles has done irrefutable damage to the greater investigation into these situations and cast doubt that wasn't there previously. This isn't even all of it either. There was even more situations you can find on my community tab of questionable allegations promoted this week by Dennis. Honestly, I have to ask a question. When did it become more about going after sponsors or hurting a creator's revenue than helping the kids? When did it become more about getting someone deplatformed than helping victims contact law enforcement? Why are people talking about serious allegations without doing basic research? How did we as a community get so bad that this has become the norm and there are people defending this man? James Charles has broken the law and done things that many in the community rightfully find indefensible. And for this reason, it's extremely stupid to post lies about him on your newsfeed. Hurting victims aside, you're muddying the water on what should be a clear-cut case. Members of the Vlog Squad have done terrible things, but that doesn't give you an excuse to maliciously put out contextless clips to damage them in the public space. That's not journalism, that's harassment. I mean, Jason Nash is friends with someone that Def Noodles dislikes. Therefore, Def Noodles tweets out clips that make him look like he sexually harasses women. But because Ethan Klein and Trisha Paytas support Def Noodles, his coverage of their shows are video titles like Trisha Paytas goes off or Ethan Klein goes off. It's just funny that he tweets frenemies highlights as if they're actual news, and then clips like this surprisingly won't reemerge on his timeline doing when they're making their rounds around the community again.
But Trevor fucking grinded. So I kind of feel like Trevor might.
I know, I hate to say it, but you know, the young blood.
Oh, hey. Ooh, yeah. Oh my god, I'm like.
What is your underwear? What is
oh my
that?
god, hot. Ooh.
Trees?
Watch out, Justin Bieber. Fucking. Me! How much can Trevor fit in his mouth?
So, Def Noodles, who we love again.
If you're Dennis's friend, you're not news. Nothing you say is news unless it's positive or show promo. If you're Dennis's enemy, well, you're gonna be news even when you haven't done anything, and get ready because everything you've ever said will be used against you to hit bullet points so you can get called out on TikTok. Or he'll just lie about you again to get away with it. He has no respect for the truth, and he has no respect for legitimate journalism.
During the David Dobrik situation, all right, something happened which really turned me against Def Noodles, right? Two members of the vlog squad, Aaron and I forget the other girl's name, they uploaded a video and they basically said in their vlog, they said, look, a lot of people are saying that, you know, David Dobrik is telling us to be hush up. No, he's not. That's not true, right? And Def Noodles uploaded a video and cut that out and basically made it seem like David Dobrik was telling those girls. So I started paying more attention to Def Noodles and I just saw him just tweet out false story after false story, like
just trying to juice up the story, trying to make it more interesting, trying to break more fucking barriers.
See, it started like that, but like this week it's been brutal, and we're giving him too much benefit of the doubt because we're talking about like false accusers earlier in the podcast. No. He tweeted out a joke and he thought it was like a P-word allegation.
So Dennis, who has a rather large platform he's used dishonestly to spread misinformation about and slander fellow creators, is also trying to use his platform to teach people about those exact things.
Between the blatant bias, the zero research, and targeting platform sponsors, Def Noodles is a danger to victims of sexual crimes, a danger to the platform we all use, and a danger, most importantly, to the truth. Besides acting as a megaphone for false accusers, his timeline also promotes many of the journalists who are actively pressuring YouTube and advertisers. As a result, his content features in several of their articles. There's nothing concrete here, but it looks like a pretty incestuous relationship that's only going to end badly for everyone but him. I think the most depressing thing about this entire situation is that Leafy's here was banned for supposedly titling too many videos about Pokimane. And my friend Tipster received multiple strikes before temporarily losing his monetization for discussing Suzy Liu. But creators like Def Noodles, who are engaging in extremely dangerous behavior without a care in the world, are checking off the very same TOS violation bullet points every step of the way. If Def Noodles continues going in the direction that he's headed, I think he's either gonna cause an adpocalypse or get banned trying. And while I don't want it to come to that, I'm not gonna feel bad for him.
If this were airwaves, we have so much pollution in the airwaves, and so much of the conversation is just completely muddled. Logan Paul asked Tim Dillon, what do you think about everybody having a podcast? And he was like, there's a big problem with that. You don't want everybody having a podcast. And that's the whole thing. Like, what's going to happen once you level the playing field for all opinions? Everybody should have the right to have an opinion, but what if somebody has tens of millions of followers, but they have the worst opinion?
Used to be your Discords. I'd open that shit up and I'd slide into those DMs, okay? Always with consent.